Padre nuestro que estás en los cielos, en este momento, Señor, venimos ante ti, que nos diste un día más de vida, Señor. Gracias porque nos trajiste todo con bien a tu casa para practicar y para aprender más de tu palabra. Que esa palabra la usemos en nuestra vida y que nos ayude mucho, Señor, en nombre de Jesús. Amén.
Amen.
Okay, so last week we talked about what? What was the topic last week? You guys remember? Chapter 4. Okay, which is what?
What did you
Cain and Abel.
What did you
Cain
guys
and Abel.
What did you guys take away from it? Just
The takeaways.
for you individually, not
Yeah.
all of you, but anything
That-
small.
That whenever you feel jealous, you just tell yourself that you should not feel like that.
We should not let evil take over us.
Yeah.
We have a choice in like what we let guide us in life.
Okay.
That's what we learned.
Yeah, just like a brief thing of
Just
what,
like that.
what you got from it.
You should go first.
Yeah. You go first. It's alright, dude. Don't worry. We can come back.
I can say it in Spanish, right?
Yeah, you can say Spanish.
So basically, like lo que siembras, cosechas. That's
So you took your
Ah.
brother's thing. Remember, like your brother had Abraham had the seeds. Their mother was like, "You gotta be." He was like, "Oh, bro."
Like you plant something? That's exactly the same one.
You
I
reap what you
remember.
sow and all that stuff. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Cain
Okay.
made like his own city, right?
Yeah. Later on.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And that's why Adam had another kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
To be the good kid.
Okay.
Basically. Yeah.
Okay.
To replace Abel.
What was
Yeah.
his name?
Is it Enoch?
No.
You got it? He said it right next to you.
Close my ears.
Okay, go for it.
Seth.
Seth?
Seth.
Yeah, Seth.
Seth.
Alright. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty
Hey,
much the gist
you
of
have
it
anything?
all.
You're good. Hey,
He
Matthew,
said-
you have
he said
anything?
Seth, that's what you need to do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the main thing, right? So we saw the Cain and Abel as far as like how the sins still continue within the actual line, right? After Adam and Eve.
I have something
right?
before you
Yeah,
go.
go for it.
So you guys know how like I was thinking about this. I don't know if you guys were listening or it caught your attention when the preaching was going on for the second hour, but the pastor was saying how ya no se predica la resurrección. But I was telling Chris, like, well, I wasn't telling him, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, does that mean like we should always be talking about just Jesus and his death? And like, how do you know when a preaching is about resurrection and when it's not about resurrection? Do you guys know?
When they start talking about like the signals, they're like the plagues that's gonna come, the rumors of war and all that. Yeah, Antichrist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. that's
Sorry,
what-
it's the
that's-
glasses, man. I'm like looking at you and just like it
Where are
looks too
you
he looks
looking
too
at?
cool with glasses on. man.
Revelations.
Do what?
Revelations.
So,
When
go ahead.
When you know?
How do you
How
know
how
when
distinguish
like
the difference on the
someone's preaching
Oh.
to you and then they are talking about resurrection or they're not?
Does it have to do with like how you say like it all leads to Jesus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes they preach about what you should and shouldn't do and not about God. They
Yeah.
only preach about, oh, you have to do that, you have to do this. And not God came for us to forgive us for
Right.
our sins.
You had something? She took it off. So like I was thinking about that and I was like, well, is us learning about Genesis, the beginning of Genesis, like, is that talking about his resurrection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys see the connections? Like someone can be teaching you about like something, but as long as you see the key like moments of like, for example, like in Genesis with the serpent and the
Is it-
thing and the snake, it's repeated and then again with like the line of like, yes.
Yeah, 'cause like that's when sin was invented technically, 'cause we were all perfect and everything. So then we couldn't sin, but like in that time. But now then they sin, and then
Or was sin there always?
they will always sin, but like they didn't have no, they didn't
They
have
conscious.
yeah, conscious.
Of
So
sin.
now since then after that they had conscious, they now could sin like with knowing.
with knowing.
So
Oh.
that God had to come for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So as long as you guys can, and anytime somebody's preaching to you and you can like play that in your head.
Oh, both of you guys got something.
ahead.
Okay, go for it. Oh, my cheese. Just
Okay. Wait, is it 3:16 or Genesis 3:16 or 3:6?
about
There's-
which ones?
The serpent and the
Yes.
seed?
316.
Yeah, and then like
The-
shoot the
Step.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, you're blank today. It's all right. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, it's 3:16.
What were you gonna say, Edenia?
I was gonna say that.
Which is funny. San Juan 3:16, pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how the whole Bible relates to God,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and it's another. The pastor said it the other day. He said that another way we can prove that it's real is that 40 people wrote in the Bible. There are 40 authors, and they all
okay.
agree,
So you're saying-
and they were not even in the same time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does it contradict one
Co-
another?
but they're
Cohesive.
talking
It's all
about the
cohesive,
same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
everything connects, even if they
Yeah.
were like
Right.
miles apart.
So the reason I was bringing that up is just so that you guys have that in mind, because I thought that was really interesting that you
Mhm.
guys by now, like since we're starting right at the beginning, you guys should start anytime you read anything or anytime somebody's even we are talking about something, that it always goes back to like to that. Yeah, make a connection back to Jesus' sacrifice and what he's either did in the past. It was being mentioned in the past, or what it already mentioned, or what's going to mention in the future. You know, Revelations. Uh huh.
It also shows like you know how the Bible's divided Old and New Testament.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
It's all because of God's resurrection and before and after,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Before, after, before, present, and future. Yeah.
Before. Past,
Where?
present, and future.
Yes.
I was like,
Okay.
I know what you're trying to say, but it's okay.
Thanks. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the only reason I wanted to talk about that, and just to make sure that you guys,
Sure.
you know, keep that in mind.
Who's that? Go for it, Eric. Okay,
Aw,
that's cool, man.
We have to get him at the right timing.
Shades are cool, man.
Okay,
Okay,
sorry, go
so
ahead.
then, so now, okay, so we talked about last time was Cain, and we actually looked at the lineage of Cain, right? We saw pretty much what was happening, and we also saw that the last people that we actually read about Cain was who? Do you guys remember? Starts with the L. Okay, yep. And what did he do? Like, what was the issue with him?
He killed and he didn't feel bad,
Exactly right. Yeah.
and he was bragging about it.
Yeah. So now that we
so he was doing
saw.
it consciously.
Yeah, and so back to what Eric was saying earlier, right? Like the city was pretty much built on this whole predication of like murder, right? As far as it wasn't really a good city to begin with, right? And so now we're gonna have this point where, like, we're gonna see the lineage of pretty much of Seth.
Yeah, the lineage of Adam, pretty much, and his family history.
Yeah. So okay, so then that's what we're gonna do right now. So here we go, chapter 5, right? So we'll just kind of go in order as far as like who's gonna read. So we'll just start that way, and then we'll go this way.
Just read the whole thing.
Yeah, just read the whole thing.
Do I read like this is reading account for Adam's
Yeah,
family?
one all the way down.
Alright,
Yep.
Genesis 5, 1 through 2. This is the written account of Adam's family line. When God created mankind, he made them in the likeness of God. He created them male and female and blessed them. And he named them mankind when they were created.
Okay, so why is it that we're reading chapter 5 right now and we're starting over again? Like, it's giving us the same thing we read already in Genesis 1, 26 to 28, where it's telling us God made us likeness of man, as far as likeness of him, right? But we're going back, like, why is it that it's giving us this narration again? Do you guys know? Go ahead.
Introduce new characters.
Introduce new characters? Yeah? And
To
go
remind
ahead.
us.
to remind us? Okay, go ahead.
You have to like show the generation as it goes. That's the whole thing.
Why?
Because how it all like connects to each other and relates like from
Yeah.
Adam and Eve came all this.
Eric said it kind of first earlier.
Because of how.
You guys almost had it.
I forgot.
You remember what you said earlier?
Who?
So-
Eric?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
No, you go ahead. You don't remember. You're good. You're good.
I forgot again.
Okay, go ahead. You got it, Eric, or no?
How? Dang.
Here we go. Man.
Wait, is it how Adam had another kid
Yeah,
with Eve, and
yeah,
his name is Seth,
yeah.
and he's supposed to be the new
They
Good
knew
kid.
what?
how it all started.
Path to
The new path.
to.
Jesus.
Yeah. He's like doing the. Yeah.
Like from these two.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before, right, you had Cain and Abel, right? And they were pretty much like, it's going to be that they were going to be the next seed that will actually transform and actually go to the next point, right? It's going to be Jesus eventually, right? And so now you have to have a new account for the new person. They got to take that lineage and make it actually good again. Because obviously you saw Cain last chapter, his lineage wasn't really that great, right? I mean, it was just more murder again from what he just did. So now I had to take a whole new line, and hopefully this line is actually going to be better. So we have to start again to pretty much say, okay, why did God make mankind? We saw this bad stuff already. We got to redo it again. Okay, let's start all over again. Okay, like we know what happened there. Now let's go back. God made us in his image. Let's start over again. Exactly right. Yep, it's a new chapter as far as I see what's going to happen on that one. So everybody good so far? Go ahead.
The mankind.
Yeah.
Remember, I was asking what
Oh,
mankind
yeah,
meant.
go for it.
It's Adan.
Hmm?
So it's just Adam.
Okay.
So I don't know why.
I don't know why we didn't talk about it before. I think we talked about it in chapter 1.
I don't know, but that's in Spanish. It just
Yeah.
says y los bendijo y el nombre de ellos Adán. Ellos, so it's
Mhm.
both of them. El
Okay.
día en que fueron creados.
Gotcha.
Just FYI.
Yeah.
So that version, I don't know why it says it
Yeah.
like that, but
And so remember on Genesis 1 all the way to 28, he said for us to be fruitful and multiply in numbers on this earth and subdue it, right, and rule over the animals and all that stuff, right? So we're going back again to saying be fruitful and multiply. Now we're going to see that with Seth, right, and his family. So next one, Eric.
All of it?
Yeah, go for it.
When Adam had lived 130 years, he had his son in his own in his own likeness, in his own image, and he named him Seth. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Adam lived a total of 930 years, and then he died. When Seth had lived 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. After he became the father of Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Seth lived a total of 912 years, and then he died.
Yeah, so I mean, we're reading again lineage, so I'm not really going to do too much on this one, but like I talked about before, right? When we say, hey, if you go look up articles online and people always say it's only just Cain and Abel and that's it, there's nobody else, and they tried to really pull apart as far as the Bible, but right here it clearly says, Adam and Eve had other sons and daughters, right? Besides, Cain and Abel and Seth, right? So, but just that's the point, right? That's what we're trying to make right there. And then Adam right there says pretty much that he made his son in his own likeness, right?
that sounds exactly like
God, and God made
him.
Adam in his own
An image.
And
And
so,
because the other
Mhm.
ones, it doesn't say that. It just says
No.
it with the atoms.
yeah. Yep. So, pretty cool on that one. Okay, so here we go. Next.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Because
I'll go
it
back.
just says like. No, yeah, it just gives like, it just drops the name, father of Enosh. And then like
Other sons.
does he have any importance?
Who's that? These people?
Yeah, like Enosh.
Yeah.
Because they only mentioned him in
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it says other sons and daughters.
Because you have to go back to, remember we were talking before, we have to find the lineage that goes to Jesus, or that goes
he's
to the
part of
next
it.
one.
Yeah.
So you're finding that
Okay.
Just remember, it splits like
Okay.
one. So the main thing, just like how Adam and Eve had other sons, we're really focusing on these ones. Later on, I mean, when you look in the Bible, you're gonna start figuring out what was it? I think your dad talked about before. He was talking to me the other day about it. But you really start to see, and they go back and say, oh yeah, remember this person that we talked about earlier? Yeah, they had their own little town. Hey, remember this thing? They had this own little
So
thing
they're
going
important
on.
in that they make their own little like you said, towns,
Mm-hmm.
and that town becomes important in later stories.
Because they go back and mention it. We go back and we kind of know the stories, but
We don't know that
don't
it was
know,
actually
yeah, we haven't really connected those dots yet, and we will eventually. Go ahead.
It's like Jacob's 12 sons,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then they had their own tribes.
Yes.
Yep.
And then Jacob was Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get back on track. Okay, so next, Eric.
When Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Canaan. After he became the father of Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enosh lived a total of 905 years, and then he died. When Canaan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Mahalalel. After he became the father of Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Canaan lived a total of 910 years, and then he died.
Yeah, so remember I showed you guys last time, we have like a timeline to show those years. So I'll show you guys later on. We're just reading this one to kind of get through as far as, but it's still important to actually read this information. So we're going to go ahead and get to the next one. Ready? All right, Matthew's got it?
Yeah, because it's the boys and then come back to the girls.
Oh, where are we at?
It's at the
The
top.
top. All of it.
No, which one?
The top.
The top. All of it.
All the way to the bottom.
Yes.
15 to 20. 15 to 20. Actually, I'll read it.
You got it? Go for it.
Okay, when Mahalalel had lived 65 years, he became the father of Jared.
Jared.
After he became the father of Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Mahalalel lived a total of 895 years and he died. When, how do you say it again?
Jared.
Jared had lived 162 years, he became the father of Enoch. After he became the father of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Jared lived a total of 962 years and then he died.
Okay, so same thing. We're just seeing we're seeing the lineage continue and continue and continue, right, to get to the point. Yes, go ahead, Daniel.
Is he the second oldest man in the Bible?
I know. I think there's like another one.
Yeah.
A
It's like a,
No, that's why he's the second.
No, I think there's one more. Like one
I
in.
know Matusalem was 960. Okay, I'm sorry.
You want to read?
okay, so again to the next one. Okay, so here you go. 21 and 24.
When
Enoch.
Enoch lived 65 years, he became the father of
Methuselah.
Methuselah.
Mm-hmm.
After he became father of Methuselah,
Mhm.
Enoch walked faithfully with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away.
Okay, so this is where we're going to take a pause and kind of talk about something.
You wanted to say something?
Go ahead, Edina. Go ahead. You said the name in Spanish, right?
Enoch.
No, Methuselah.
Methuselah.
Yeah.
Methuselah.
I was like, what? But that's all right. Go ahead.
Enoch didn't die.
Enoch did not die. That's
She
correct.
pointed it out.
Yeah. So where did Enoch go?
Heaven.
With Jesus?
Heaven.
Okay. But why did he leave?
Because he was faithful.
What does that
That
mean?
mean?
Like,
He was
God loved him
pure.
so much that he
Wait, what?
Too pure.
like he was a faithful servant, and like just God took him with him. He was worthy of that
But why was he worthy?
because
What
he
is-
was he
what
was
is
he was faithful to God.
What is faithful?
He
though?
was like loyal to him.
What does
He
that mean?
stayed in his path.
He
Faithful
stayed
is
in his
loyal.
path.
And
He did not
trusted
get
him.
out. Like he didn't walk to bad. He stayed in good.
Stayed in good.
Yeah, pure.
Period.
Okay. Go ahead.
Pure. Okay.
Oh, like he was pure? Pure. It's okay. It's all right. Go on.
No, it's like whenever I think of faithfulness, it also reminds me of like, actually, does it? Dependable, but like,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, but basically what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, he always stuck to what like God commanded him to do,
Okay.
and that's walking faithfully. Oh, dependable, because that reminds me of God, because he's faithful also, right? Because yes, and then
It's okay.
That's all right.
Does everything make sense in your head? But once you try to, yeah.
That's Eric. Yeah, that's Eric only. It's okay. We'll come back to you.
Okay.
All right, just think about it. Okay, so this is the main thing I kind of want to highlight for this one, right? Obviously, we have the lineage, but the same thing is what is faithful? Go ahead. You have
No,
something?
no. Like
Go ahead.
usually they usually say like, for example, like when you're sick. You hear it a lot. When you guys hear people pray and they're sick, they're like, have faith. God's going to.
That's what I'm talking about.
So